Okay, so one of the books you're definitely gonna have to read because we're gonna be referred to it several times is the Fourth Turning. So the Fourth Turning is written by William Strauss and Neil Howe, who are demographers. William's dead, but Neil Howe is around. And not to get into long-winded into the book, basically imagine it as a history book, but instead of a history book written about a certain period of time, it's written from the perspective of generations, how generations ebb and flow over time. Now, this book really focuses on America, but what's very interesting is that as these two authors wrote this book, as they did the research for this book, they noticed that they were these reoccurring uh, themes that kept happening, these different turnings, and there are four turnings, and in each of these periods, they're characterized by certain types of characteristics for the young people, the adults, and the old people, and the different types of uh, travails that they have to, trials and tribulations they have to deal with. Now, the fourth turning, which is the turning that we're involved in, has to do with a period of upheaval. We're moving through an old system into a new system, and what this book was fascinating because it was written in the 90s and essentially predicted the type of outcome that we're dealing with right now, that the fourth turning takes place between, let's say, 2009, 2010, all the way to like 2025. And I mean, it talked about a financial collapse that we saw in the global financial crisis in 2010. It talked about that one of the things that we would have to deal with, that we might have to deal with, is a plague, a type of plague that would cause that would be equivalent to a war, right? It could have been a war, it could have been a plague, it could have been some external thing, but turns out we're in the universe with the plague, and it gives great advice of how we should use the information of our past and the technology of our present in order to make it through. Because in the fourth turning, what can happen is that you can end up in a golden age, or you can end up with just ruining the entire generation and having years and years of desolation, or even the end of end of the country. And so now we're having a fourth turning, that because it's U.S. centric, and because the demographics of the world, at least the Western world, has sort of synchronized, it's almost like almost a global a global fourth turning that we're seeing right now, which is why things are crazy chaotic. So you're having the financial wealth redistribution, like Peter was talking about, that's happening underneath rich people's noses. You're having culture wars that are having across the world. You're having cyber warfare. You're having ecological disasters. We're having a global warming. Just you're like, how many things can possibly be happening all at the same time? And this book is a great guide of how we can make it through. And it requires us, one of the prescriptions that it has for us, it requires us to um, the adult generation to shore up the shortcomings of the generation that came before us, because they were a generation that came from plenty, and so they sort of want to stay in power. You think about the Boomer generation, think about the Gen X generation; they want to stay in power, and they had more of a lap of luxury type of thing in their upbringing, and we want to. We want to remember the people who went through the wars of World War II, and we want to keep in mind the children that we're going to be raising for the next generation. So they in the fourth turn, and they call our generation the hero generation, because we're the ones who have to like face this dragon, face this chaos, and try to make something good out of it afterwards. So I recommend it to everybody. I mean,
And the
basically
generation that's coming
mandatory.
next is the artist generation, right?
The artist generation, yeah, who will revere their hero parents if they succeed. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be like happy with whatever they get. They're not going to complain. We're going to be happy with whatever we get. So you're going to want to check it out, The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe. Fun fact: Neil Howe has great videos online. He's very long-winded, but that's what you want from a historian. So you can check out his videos online, talking about it. He works for what I love, a financial company, a hedge fund, and basically one of the things, if you can predict demographics, and birth and death trends, you can predict a lot of what goes on inside the market. So he's like, I'm going to use this for financial gain, what you want. Peter's always saying this. If someone knows about if someone's going to profess to know something, they better be rich. They better be well off.
Yeah,
They better be
exactly. If you can
comfortable, because
predict the
otherwise,
future, you better be making some money. I'll tell you
yeah.
that. That's what we're doing right now, and it seems to be working out. If I'm
I'm
not
holding them to it.
mistaken,
You got to read that book. I'm holding them to it. They got to read The Fourth Turning. Come on.
read The Forced Turning. It's one of the most influential books that we've read in the past, in our entire lives, but we read it
That's
in
right.
the past, a year or so.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal. It almost reads like a horoscope. It's kind of crazy, but it
When you
just has
think
this.
that it was written in the 90s, you think if this was written today, you'd be like, okay, it was written in the 90s. You're like, how did they have a telescope into they're Ben Affleck from Paycheck. I know it's a deep cut. They're Ben Affleck from Paycheck. They have a telescope into the future, and they saw what was going on. And but I love that we're like, there was other universes, other probabilities of what could happen. I was like, okay, we're not in the darkest timeline, but I'm glad we're not in the darkest one. I'll take this one over
Well,
some
we don't
other
know
one.
yet. We don't know yet. I hear there might be war with
We
China
got
slash
crypto. We got
Russia
crypto in this one,
slash
Peter. We got crypto in this one. We have the
this
ability
one.
to coalesce creativity and value faster than ever before. We'll stop the asteroids. We'll solve the plague problem. We'll get the sun to
An
stop being
asteroid the
warm.
size of a car just passed by Earth. It was one of the closest near misses we had. 12,000 miles up.
Well, do you know
Uh,
why it didn't hit the planet?
aliens.
Crypto. Exactly. You nailed it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You nailed
I should have let you get that punchline.
it.
I thought you were going to give me a real answer. That's right. If I'm not mistaken, that Neil
Wait, you
Howe
thought
guy
the
that
real answer was aliens?
No, I thought you were going to give me the real answer. Some
Oh, I see.
phenomenon, electrostatic phenomenon on the atmosphere, the magnetic pull of the moon or something. So I went for the joke, but I should have known. You've got such a dry delivery that I gotta start assuming
Thanks.
that if you let me speak, it's only because you got something real good coming right after. So
Well,
I gotta remember that.
I wanted a pregnant moment, a pregnant pause there.
A pregnant pause. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
No, I induced labor. Was the Neil guy, whatever, the fourth
Neil
turning?
Howe.
Neil Howe. Well, I don't know how, but
Oh, right.
um,
The hedge fund he works for is called Hedge Eye. Hedge Eye, all one word. So you can either check out the website or check out the YouTube video. Just let people know that.
if I remember correctly, he's the one, or they are the ones who came up with the terms like Gen X, millennials. Like that's
Millennials, exactly.
they are the
They
ones who
coined
came up
those
with the
terms.
terms. So if you use these terms, just know like these are the guys who created that, and there's a reason
Yeah,
that everybody uses them. It's perfectly appropriate.
yeah, very good point.
You can tune into Jumpstart. We're going to be doing this as often as we can. Right now, it'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Don't hold us to it, but we're going to do it as often as we can. We're going to be talking about things that are happening currently in the news and things that are timely, but we're also going to give you this education. We want to give you an education. Look, we wanted to do this whole webinar thing and create a course load. And we're like, look, we're just going to do the new thing, okay? We're not going to use the old way of school to teach you. We're going to give you the new thing. You take what you want to take, you leave what you want to leave. You can watch us when you want to watch us, or watch us live, participate with what we're doing, ask your questions, and learn as we have these conversations. That's the point of Jumpstart. Jumpstart is a jumpstart for your life.